Hi guys. Bolt, no-code AI product making platform, I would call it a vibe coding platform, is doing a $1 million hackathon that takes place May 30 and lasts the entire month of June. Today they are having a kickoff party in San Francisco, and I got accepted in the wait list. Oh, God bless. Oh, bro, how do we get hey, okay. I don't know about how they like this, bro.
Yo, flex on them.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have one question for you. Who's ready to fucking rave? Let's go!
Oh, he's gone!
Round to cheer for DJ Savant. The next crew coming on the stage needs no introduction.
Yeah!
It is the Chainsmokers. Let's go!
I didn't know they were like this though. That show's got a fire, bro. Feel like a little rave. Okay, Bolt. This is good use of VC money. Great use. It has been 20 days since the Bolt Hackathon kickoff party. It is May 30th. That means the hackathon officially started today and it ends June 30th. Let's talk about the hackathon project and what we're building. I've had this idea in my head for the last 2 years. So for those who don't know about my lore, I became a founder in the Bitcoin ordinals ecosystem, which is essentially a digital collectibles. They're digital collectibles on Bitcoin. Think Pokemon cards, but on Bitcoin. If you don't know about Bitcoin, you can search it up. Would recommend. But I had a project there and it was like these fun little characters called Boos, and I had this whole lore and this whole story about these characters being in a place called the Boo Kingdom. That's why my name is Boo Toshi. That's literally the origin of my name. And I am a huge Dungeons and Dragons nerd. So for the longest time, I wanted to build out a fully self-evolving AI universe where all of my characters are brought to life. Holders of the project get to customize their personality and literally watch their characters interact with each other and build the story out like a real-time Tamagotchi on Bitcoin. So that'd be really cool. But with AI evolving so fast, like the ideal vision I had for this game simply was not possible 2 years ago. That's when I got into all of this. Until today, until a couple months ago, actually, every single vision for the game became possible. Like consistent character generation with AI image technology, video generations, automated marketing, built brick by brick these different pieces of the ultimate puzzle I need to do this over time. And we're slowly getting there. In my last video, I talked about the fully autonomous marketing project. That was Cypher Genesis. He actually got to speak in person. I just came back from Bitcoin Vegas. I was speaking at the conference about AI. I'm really happy and proud about how I did at the talk. That was the best I've spoken from a self-critical standpoint in terms of not having that many filler words and being clear and being able to easily communicate what I'm talking about to the crowd. So really happy about that. So I just touched down. My flight got delayed 6 hours, but the hackathon started today. So ran back home so I could record this video and start the kickoff. But going on with the story is my entry into the Bolt Hackathon is going to be a D&D experience using the project and bringing the Boos to life. But the first step of that, what my actual entry into the hackathon is going to be, is an infinite creative storytelling AI engine that anybody could take and use and place into their own game. So the plan is week 1, we build this infinite creative storytelling engine. I guess we'll just call it ARCs. There was a video I posted. It was a Google Gemini 2.5 Pro video, and I created this feature in our platform Daybloom called ARC. So the feature we built out on Daybloom is this feature called ARC, and it is a story generating ARC The way that it works is you have the beginning of a story, you have the middle of the story, and you have the end of a story. One of my friends in Hollywood taught me about the Save the Script or Save the Cat script writing framework, which essentially talks about this storytelling based framework that Hollywood script writers could write. I'm not in Hollywood, but I used it and it works. So it works like this. Depending on the character's personality and their backstory and the lore and the existing information about the character that the system already knows about, is when you want to generate an arc, it will generate the idea of a story. So it generates like idea. So the essential like theme and key point of the story, it'll generate. And then it generates the beginning, and then it generates the middle, and then it generates the end. For example, and then this follows the Save the Cat storytelling framework. So there's actually like 15 beats. So there's the beginning, there's the middle, and there's the end, but then there's 15 beats in the middle following the Save the Cat storytelling script writing framework that progress the story over time in a way that I was told is evolved to really appease to our monkey brain over time in terms of storytelling and satisfaction and being immersed in the story. So there's 15 beats, beginning, middle, end, 15 beats progressing the story, and an arc goes like this. You have the beginning of the story, the character does something that makes you like them, and as the story starts to progress, it gets more and more intense. You know, there's like, you start meeting the supporting characters, you start learning the characters' traumas and problems, and then you get to the midpoint of the story, which is where shit starts to get real. This is where you're really locked into the film. You're like, oh, damn. And then and then it just gets real. And then at some point, the bad guys close in, and this is like the climax where the good guys are fighting the bad guys, and one of them wins. And then you get to the end of the story. And throughout this entire sequence, every single beat that happens, the AI agent is given information about the current beat, information about where in the story they're currently at, as well as directions on how to act that day. So the AI agents will literally be given directions on, hey, today we are at this part of the story. This is what happened previously. This is how you're gonna interact with users. This is what you're gonna say. This is what you're gonna feel. This is the vibe for today. This is what you're gonna talk about today. So we found out it was actually really good for marketing campaigns, because marketing campaign itself could be essentially a story arc. Now, I'm explaining this research because this is going to be a very key important part in this creative storytelling engine we're working on. So I'm just gonna write creative storytelling engine, parentheses, open source. This is gonna be an entry. So arc plays a huge part in how this goes. Now what happens when one full arc finishes? This isn't it. This is just how we could layer the story. Oh, another fun important part about arcs is the way that the stories progress. When it comes to the AI system generating the story, we only first generate the beginning and the middle and the end. We don't generate anything of what happens in the story in the middle. We only give the AI system a structure to follow. We only give it a skeleton that keeps it consistent and keeps the story going. Similar to Walking Dead games or Telltale games like The Wolf Among Us or The Walking Dead, if you guys ever played about that, or if you guys ever played those games. What happens in the middle is actually we take all of the AI's interactions throughout the day, and based on the AI's interactions on Twitter, in game, on Discord, on any platform that exists, we'll actually progress the story bit by bit, depending on the input. What that does is it makes the story very dynamic, and it brings all of the people interacting with the AI agent like into the story. And it makes it really fun. It's like you're playing a real-time video game, which is why it's perfect for this D&D Boo game that I'm about to start building this whole month. Now there are like a lot of things that go into the planning, but I think the general overlook of what we're building is the most important part. Now what happens when we finish? So like boom, you know, players interact, the story is progressing. We're going beat by beat by beat, progress. All the users interacting with the AI agents are part of the story, which is very important for a D&D game. But then when we actually reach the end of the story, what happens? Well, the goal is it's an infinite storytelling engine, bro. The goal is that once one arc finishes, we start a new one. And then it keeps going and going and going and going, following the same thing. But it is very important for this entire first arc to be a part of the story forever. So for something to continue over time, over and over and over again and never end, I'm comparing this system to how the world currently works. And when it comes to history, things have happened in history that obviously were significant enough to lead to the current state of events in the world. And what we all do now as humanity, every individual person, is what is going to push the world story forward. Now, not every single detail in an arc matters, but what is very important is the things that have happened in the story. I would call them world anchors, important story anchors. The biggest things that happened in the story that simply cannot be ignored. And just the story itself and the narrative and everything that's happened. For this to be an infinite storytelling engine, it is very important for the full arc to be summarized and stored in some sort of history book. So like entire arc gets stored in history books. So when one full storytelling narrative arc of an AI agent finishes, then we store it. A history book that the AI agent could reference. That way when we start a new arc, it takes in all of the context from previous existing arcs in the world and everything that happened and push it forward. So that is one way I am thinking of approaching this infinite storytelling engine. And then later we could get into the more like nitty-gritty details of using RAG to store specific features. Because this is a D&D game, it is important for me to be able to create characters and then have them referenceable in the story, especially the more significant a character is. So those are things we're gonna have to figure out. But the general idea and my personal entry is going to be an open source creative storytelling engine. We're gonna start the build out by doing Bolt. I think I'm gonna talk to Claude Opus about this idea by, I'm gonna take a picture of the whiteboard. I'm also going to take everything I just yapped about and transcribe it and give that to Claude so we could talk about it. Now the whole point of this story, or the whole point of this engine, is that it could be used in any place. So when it comes to inputs, so we go through a whole arc, we summarize it. There was a memory system, that's the other part. So this is very, very similar to a memory system I worked on early on. But the way that the memory system worked is when you have chat history and it goes through an entire AI's chats, if you just wipe the entire chat history, then the AI has no idea what's happening. Every time you start a new ChatGPT chat, it completely opens a new prompt that's wiped fresh. So the AI has absolutely no context of what you talked about in a previous chat because you wiped everything unless it stored memories. That whole experience is starting from scratch. It will have no context of the previous conversation unless it stored everything. In my custom memory system, I did two things. One is I gave the AI a sense of a present by continually condensing the chat logs. So I would take all of the raw chat logs between the AI bot and all of the users, and I would squish and I would condense them into a summary of what happened. So when you do wipe the chat logs, the AI sees a summary of the conversations from its previous wipe, and that allows it to continue the conversation consistently as if it didn't forget anything. Now, another important part of that feature is the ability to then extract specific details, because even though the AI has a sense of the present, like, oh, if I tell you what I did today, I'm not really gonna remember every specific detail because like my mind is a little fuzzy when it comes to all of that. I have ADHD and I forget things so easily. But I can tell you the general gist is I woke up because I was getting kicked out of my hotel room because I overslept at checkout. And then we busted ass at the airport and our flight got delayed 3 hours. And then I'm back home. And now I'm here recording this video. So that's a general idea of what I did today. So I could progress my day based off that context. But remembering specific details about users who interact with the bot, is very, very important in a psychological sense. So if you tell the AI agent when your birthday is, or the AI character when your birthday is, very important for the AI agent to remember your birthday. Otherwise, it just loses consistency. And what I've noticed from personal experiments I've done over time with memory is that just adding this little feature of an AI extracting important details that it thinks it should remember about users, about the world. Because the world, like, especially when it comes to world news, like there's always new things happening. So it's important for the AI to be able to take in the new things happening, especially because this training data is outdated, and use that to progress. So when we would summarize chat logs, we would do two things. There are two different AI agents that work here. One AI agent would create a summary of the chats. So the AI agent gets a general sense of what's happened. It gives it a present. The other AI agent will extract important details of the conversation based on what users said, based on world news, based on events, and it will take these very specific details and store them into a long-term vector RAG database that when queried, the AI agent is able to reference. So if someone talks about, there's this goblin analogy. So back to the D&D sense. If a user goes, I'm gonna take the personal experience. So there was an AI agent called Boop, and that was my first memory experiment. He was going on a roleplay adventure with one of my users, and the user gave him a staff. The user's name was Worldian. So Worldian gave Boop, the AI agent, a staff. And then a week later, Boop was playing with the staff and he came back in chat, Worldian came back in chat and saw it. And Worldian was like, yo, Boop, where'd you get that staff? And Boop is like, what do you mean, bro? You gave it to me. This is your staff. And the way that worked is because initially, when they were having that initial conversation and Worldian gave him the staff, there's that key word, that key memory there that Worldian gave Boop the staff. It was like the World Tree staff or something crazy like that. And then when Worldian came back into the chat and used the keyword staff, the RAG memory system was able to go through it, see the word RAG or see the word staff, pull that memory out and add it to the context and be like, bro, what do you mean you gave me this staff? So those are two very important things in progressing the story. Now I'm thinking if I combine that with Arc, then we get an infinite creative storytelling engine that I could use with my D&D game. So that is what we are going to work on. I am going to be streaming this Monday, Wednesday, Friday, starting at 10 a.m. PST every week until June 30th. So if you guys want to come along and watch me build it and learn how to vibe code and watch me vibe code and research and do all that fun stuff, I will be live on Twitch and on X. I'll stream on both. Maybe I could also stream on YouTube. I don't know. I got to check that out. But yeah, very excited for this hackathon. So next video, we're actually going to go into using Bolt, and I think I'm going to start my stream this upcoming Monday. So that is the whole blueprint, explanation, brain dump of what I'm going to be working on this month for the hackathon. The plan is week 1, I finished the open source portion of the AI creative storytelling engine, and weeks 2 through 4, I work on the actual D&D game using this as a storytelling engine. I think that'll be really fun. I'm really excited. If you guys want to tune in and watch me build this live, I'll put all the information in the description. Wish me luck. If you guys want to enter the Vibe Coding Hackathon with me and you have a crazy idea that you would like to know how to make, I got you, bro. So subscribe. I will see you guys very soon. I'm very tired, so I'm going to enjoy my weekend and hibernate.